Kate Mills here, and I'm going to show you guys one more way to help do a sit to stand and stand to sit transfer more safely and more independently. All of like 100% of my clients, stroke or Parkinson's, have a problem with this. So I've had tons of experience in what works over the years. The number one factor that is always present with my patients that cannot do a sit to stand appropriately or safely is the lack of forward weight shift. Whether it is because they're Parkinsonian and they're what we call retropulsive and they're always pushing back over their heels, or with a stroke, they tend to, if they're leaning to one side, but also they are pretty much never getting enough flexion, enough bend in their hips, and they're still trying to push up this way. So the first thing is just using something to train them to get more and more comfortable with this forward weight shift. And so I start out with this PVC pole, by the way, not my idea. So simple. But again, this is from the Rock Steady boxing class that I help coach. They do their whole warm up with this pole, and I'm gonna post some more of the exercises and also try to remember not to take credit for them, but they're amazing. So this, with my patients, I just realized put together with one of the activities that we do, just having them stretch. So you make sure that the feet, in this case, are more than shoulder width apart, because all these people also have very tight hips. So you cannot forward weight shift. Your pelvis cannot tilt far enough forward if everything is tight and closed in here. So you want to get the feet wide, so you open up the hips and allow that pelvis to come forward. So they feel so much safer when they're on, I keep getting a whole lot of forward weight shift. When they're on this pole, I've also done videos showing the TheraBall, where you're rolling TheraBall out, and that is great. It's a different kind of stretch. But so far my patients have really shown that when they're holding on to something here in front of them, they feel a lot safer. So I kind of let them warm up with a few of these, slow stretching through the shoulders, stretching through the low back and the hips. And then we progress to, and you see the point of the pole, I have them put it in front of, so it's aligned in front of their toes. They stretch out as far as they can, and then I tell them start to push to stand. I might have to give a little bit of boost at first, and if anything, it's because they feel so far forward that they couldn't possibly be safe, but they're also pushing down into the pole. So it's giving them that force down to help improve the posture and making them want to bring their trunk up instead of the normal. If you're coming from an armchair and you're pushing from here, it doesn't facilitate that tendency to want to come this way and up. They're just wanting to push straight up. You put their arms out here and you have that force down through the pole. Even as it's tilted, you're pushing down through the pole. It's like they're using it as a lever to get up, and it's the perfect body mechanics. And they use the exact same technique to get down. Tell them to push it out as far forward as they can go. In class, we call this hip hinging. So you're teaching hip hinging, bend at those hips. We don't sit like this. Same way we don't do squats like this. Squats require a hip hinge. So you're training that hip hinge, come forward, and then slowly, they can even slide the hands down as they go, slowly down to their seat. And if you're wondering as far as safety, yeah, I teach them when they're not with me or with somebody else, that they can, to be extra safe, and if they're in a chair that isn't braced against the wall, they can push up with one hand and still use this one here to make sure they're coming forward. And same thing when they're going back. Reach back and lean forward like this. But is what you never ever want to teach people. But I'm using this very low surface just to kind of dramatize a little bit more how much, if you get that sufficient forward weight shift, it is so much easier. I'm what, 5'6", maybe 5'7", and this ottoman is 16-inch height, so that's 2 inches below standard. Never ever train people, or all my patients out there, nobody performs a stand to sit. No normal person performs a stand to sit by jacking their legs up against their seat and leaning back into it. I don't know if you can tell as well because of the contrast, but this is what all my patients seem to be trained in therapy or at rehab, so that I have to feel it behind me and then they're leaning into it as they sit down. Nobody does that. Why are we teaching them that? So yes, make sure you can see that your chair is behind you, but no, your legs should not be touching it, because as soon as you make them touch it, it makes them want to lean back into it. And that's the exact wrong way that they should be safely transferring. Look back, make sure it's there, hip hinge, slowly lower your bottom to the seat. Okay, I think that does it. PVC pole, amazing. Obviously can use, I use a trekking poles. Let me grab that real quick. If these are cheap on Amazon, I use these, put them up to appropriate height or whatever. This just is a good kind of grip, and people can easily slide up and down, and super cheap at your local hardware store with just getting the rubber tips on the bottom. Okay, thanks.